Hi there, welcome to my session, and I'm going to take you through the peace treaties that were being formed between 1919 and 1920. So as much as the real fighting had ended in the year 1918, the Central Powers and the Allies had to deliberately wait for around 4 months so that the peace treaties were to be signed, and that was in the year 1919 January is when the 4 months came to an end, and that was the beginning of the signing of the peace treaties. And these peace treaties were signed by each of the five central powers, and it included the Treaty of Versailles, that it was with Germany. We also have the Treaty of Neuilly, it was with Bulgaria. We have the Treaty of Trianon, it was with Hungary. We have the Treaty of Sèvres, it was with Turkey. And we have the Treaty of Lausanne, Switzerland, that is in the year 1923. So these the above treaties that I have mentioned, it came to be known as the Treaty of Versailles. That is the general name of those treaties. So if you hear something to do with the Treaty of the Versailles, it is these treaties that were being signed between 1919 and 1920. So this Paris conference, it was being dominated by the following leaders, and they are calling it Paris conference because Versailles is in Paris. Therefore, they gave this. They stated this conference, so they gave it a name as the Paris conference. But I've already told you the general name for those treaties. It is the Versailles Treaty. So the leaders who dominated the peace conference or the Paris conference included Woodrow Wilson, the United States of America president. We also have Lloyd George, was a British premier. We have Georges Clemenceau, a French premier, and we have Vittorio Orlando, an Italian premier. And if you can remember in my previous sessions, I'd already told you is a premier. Mostly it is a prime minister or a leader of a nation. It can be also a president. So I'm going to take you through this peace treaty in my notes, just have a glimpse, because maybe I cannot finish discussing all the information of the peace treaty so that you can go to World War II. So let me take you through the results of this peace treaty or the Versailles peace treaty. When you look at these peace treaty results, you will realize that the people who carried the cross so much were the Germans. Like for the Germans, that Germany lost all her colonial possessions. We all know that colonialism really affected Africa. So German had shares of colonies in Africa. So German lost all colonial possessions, and it was taken away from her, and it was handed over the League of Nations. We are going to go through the League of Nations and the colonies of Germany. For example, Rwanda, Urundi, the present day Burundi, Tanganyika, the present day Tanzania, Togoland, Southwest Africa, the present day Namibia, and Cameroon were taken over from Germany. Also, Germany was totally disarmed. We know that Germans were really armed with a lot of military weapons, but she was totally disarmed so that they don't participate in any things to do with military war. Another one is that Austria was allowed to remain independent. We know that German had a high population in Austria, but Austrian remained independent from German. And then Poland received a third of its territory, which was being taken by the Germans. Also, Danzig port was being declared a free city, and it was claimed by the Germans and the Poles. So the Danzig port was declared a free city. And also the Saar region was formerly part of Germany. It was being administered by the League of Nations. So Saar Germany, Saar region, which was being occupied by Germany, or it was being taken by the Germans, was handed over to the League of Nations. And Alsace and Lorraine provinces, we all know that it belonged to France. It was being taken away from the Germans, and it was officially handed over to the French, or the people, or the France. And Rhineland was to be permanently demilitarized, so meaning that the German troops were not to be allowed in that region, Rhineland. This is whereby German troops were based there, and so it was to be totally demilitarized. And then some of the new states emerged, for example, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Matia, and it became a newly created states of state of Yugoslavia, and then Slovakia became independent among others, and then Finland acquired complete independence from Russia. So we are seeing the results of Versailles Peace Treaty, or the results of the peace treaty. It is apparent that Germans bore the cross. They really took a lot of burden for the results of the war that was being caused. And when I look here at through some the reason why this peace treaty failed to achieve the objective of maintaining world peace, for example, is that German representatives were too shocked. They were very shocked, and they were alone being blamed for war, because the Germans were handed a very heavy punishment, and this provoked deep resentment and bitterness among the Germans, and these feelings inspired what you call the Nazi aggressions. So if you hear of the Nazi aggressions, it has its roots from the Versailles Peace Treaty, whereby Germans were being given a heavy blow. And then we have the treaty ignored the interest of the colonized people. So as much as they were trying to say that it was promoting peace, but it was ignoring the interest of the colonized people. For example, when the Africans and the non-Western people, when they presented their grievances to the Europeans, they were not acknowledged in the Paris Conference, a meeting for the League of Nations, which was meant to promote peace. And then also the treaty ignored the interest of the minorities, especially in Europe. For example, Austria state was barred from merging with Germany despite the popular vote by the Austrians. So the interest of minorities was being ignored. Therefore, this was not something that it was not giving a picture of the peace treaty. Italy was mistreated, although she was a major power, whereby British and French gave themselves lion's share, whereas for the Italians, they were not being given lion share. The Italians walked away from this peace conference, or the Versailles Treaty Conference, more bitter than they came, because they took the lion's share of the territories that were being taken away from the Germans. And also, the United States of America Senate refused to ratify the Charter of the League of Nations. So, they are the ones who are coming up with the peace treaty conference, or the Paris Conference, or the Versailles Treaty Conference, but again they are not chartering they are not giving this League of Nations a charter. And the League of Nations, it was birthed, or it was born from the Versailles Treaty Peace Conference. So we see, as much as this treaty was being formed to promote world peace, but it failed in its objectives, of which I have discussed. So right away, I'm going to the League of Nations.